After the lol-worthy sword-swinging chaos of War of the Roses, we thought we'd try another game of a similar ilk, Chivalry Medieval Warfare. And while it didn't grab the team in the same way that War of the Roses did, it certainly does do some things better, and we're having a great time with it.
The devs have had some practice making this game with their mod, Age of Chivalry, using the Source engine. But this is their new improved version and full-scale commercial title using Unreal 3. There's a lot about this production that's very impressive from the moment you load up the game. Graphically, it's just beautiful, with gorgeous maps and a variety of structures and locations and huge battle animations that play out in front of you, like catapults firing and ships sailing into harbour.
Oh, it's just so pretty, yes. I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah! Just keep looking at it, Hex. Is that what you were
I was admiring the scenery, damn it.
But there's a decidedly less realistic approach to the visuals, I thought, compared to War of the Roses. It's a lot more colourful, but it does lose some of that grittiness, and some of the structures feel obvious and a bit gamey, with lots of ramps and bridges. Beautiful lighting, though.
One thing I thought was a really great way to kick things off was with a proper tutorial.
Good. Now you can piss everyone off with your shady tricks. All right? We're done here.
In Chivalry, a lot is unlocked from the start, giving you access to a range of heavy and light armor classes, and a whole host of weapons to choose from. There are some additional weapons and items that can still be unlocked, but there's far less customization involved compared to Roses. I found it a little less motivating to stay in the game here. I'm a slave to those unlocks. What I love about Roses is building your class, and that's half the game really, but here it's just a few weapons to unlock.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it, but honestly, I found it quite refreshing to, at the very least, be able to jump straight into archery and not have to work to just unlock that class. Controls are quite different. You use left and right mouse button to attack and block, but scrolling the mouse wheel up and down will give you your thrusts and overhead slashes, and you can kick as well.
Excellent.
I much preferred this control system to Rose's. I thought it was way cleaner than trying to move the mouse in the direction you want it to strike. That said, being in the first-person perspective makes it pretty tricky to keep track of what's happening around you.
It's definitely a faster paced game, isn't it? And I like that there were multiple options for the views, and I preferred some of the third-person views, especially when using the polearm, so you can see a bit more around you.
Did not block that correctly. Neither did I.
Blocking needs to be carefully aimed and will only save you if you have enough stamina, otherwise you'll go down pretty quickly. Fights are short, intense, and bloody, and when you do take damage, your health will eventually regenerate. But there's no helping your teammates when they're down, there's no second chances, so it doesn't promote that squad-based teamwork that I love so much in Roses.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit more every man for himself, isn't it? But there is a certain joy in that too. Things do get quite interesting with some of the additional ammunition you can add to your character, like throwing axes or smoke bombs. We had a good time with those.
No, he's back!
The gore has turned up a notch, though. There were a few shots I got in that saw full-on decapitations with a slash of my sword.
Oh, I got your head!
Arms can be completely severed and gush blood. It's intense, particularly in those gladiator arena fights where you're in close quarters and there's nowhere to hide.
Yes, it's been quite a while since I've seen bones sticking out in a video game, and this is a medieval setting though, so that gore does make sense, and it actually adds quite a lot to it. In addition to deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture the flag and so on, there's a bunch of other objective-based modes that involve things like stopping the enemy from getting a battering ram to the gate, or you'll need to all work together and protect one player who takes the role of the king.
Defend the king!
I quite enjoyed these hacks, and making use of environmental weapons like the catapult was a lot of fun.
No horses, though.
No, I missed the jousting, but raining down chaos from a giant turret almost made up for it.
In War of the Roses, I was all about the archer class, but here, using arrows just didn't quite feel as authentic. And the crossbow is really tough to use as well, though arguably more realistic. Instead of a little mini-game as you reload, you'll see a slick animation play out that forces you to look down and get your next bolt ready. This means taking your eyes off the battlefield for a considerable amount of time, which gives the guy you just shot plenty of time to come and seek vengeance. Oh, here he comes.
Yes, more than ever, you do have to find those high-perched spots to take out people in the battlefield, and some of the maps don't really play to that.
It all sounds great too, doesn't it? Big clangs, thuds, and crashes of steel on steel. Oh, and the delight when we encountered that battle cry taunt button.
pathetic as a doom!
Down the order! Just stand there.
I chose the heavier class this time around just because I felt like I needed that extra protection. But the larger scale fights just didn't quite capture the epicness of War of the Roses. The pacing just didn't feel as worthwhile, and you don't get that same team satisfaction at the end of a big battle.
Yeah, and I think it's because in Roses you can actually survive a 6-on-1 battle if you know what you're doing. You really learn a skill there, and I think that's why I've spent 60 hours in the game so far. But with this, if you try and do that, you're just going to get decapitated.
That said, we had a glorious time running around with just 5 or 6 of us in deathmatch. It was just a bit sillier and made for more shenanigans.
Oh no! And I believe you both are slain. Are you? Are you dead? No.
Wait, what are you stabbing at? No.
Goose.
Roly poly.
Goose, just wait a second. Let's talk about. I cut off your arm though, so you'll never be taunting again.
There are things I love about War of the Roses and Chivalry, and I wish I could just combine them together, but I guess I'll just have to play both of them. I'm giving this 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, you know, as a team, I think we really latched onto Roses because it brought us together in a way that Chivalry hasn't really. But I know that just from being in this world, its scale and visual appeal will mean a lot of people will prefer it. You know, I think comparing this to War of the Roses is a bit like comparing COD to Battlefield. They each have their strengths and weaknesses, and there will always be devotees on both sides. But you know what? I think this is a really impressive take on medieval warfare, so I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10.